Well, let me just say this. This hearing is not about whether or not we should export natural gas. We're doing that. Having said that, I have some grave concerns about this bill. Dr. Gant, you said that your average approval time is around 2 months. Every 2 months you're approving a permit. And also heard you say that when Mr. Barton asked you when the first permit that you approved would actually come online, you said around the third quarter of 2015. Is that correct? So that's about 15 months from now. So based on your granting permits on an average of about 2 months, you could conceivably grant another 7 or 8 permits before the first permit, the first facility actually goes online, assuming it goes online by the third quarter of 2015. At that point, we'd have 15 permitted facilities to go to non-free trade agreement countries. Now, you said that the difference between granting a permit to a non-FTA country versus an FTA country is you go through a process to see if it's in the public, in the national interest to do so. But under Mr. Gardner's legislation, that would be waived. It would be treated just like an FTA permit where you don't go through that process. Is that correct?
As I understand.
So conceivably, if somebody wanted to export natural gas to Russia, which is a WTO country, there wouldn't be a review process by DOE whether or not that was in the national interest. It would just be approved like an FTA country. Is that correct?
Correct.
I would say to Mr. Gardner and people that are co-sponsors of this bill, you may want to consider, based on what's going on in the world with the Russian, the Chinese, Pakistani, Turkey, how these countries are cheating, flaunting our trade laws and cleaning our manufacturers' clocks. We just came from a Steel Caucus hearing this morning where these same very countries that we could be sending natural gas to without any review to see if it's in the national public interest are using our trade laws to put our companies out of business. The one edge our manufacturers have in this country is cheap energy, and we're about to take that from them too. Right now, we have natural gas at $4 to $5 an MCF. They're paying $14 to $16 over there. Mr. Barton has it right. What's going to happen is our prices are going to come up a little and their prices are going to come down a little, and we'll eventually hit some sort of a leveling off period of pricing where it doesn't make any more sense to export. And the market will determine how many of these facilities actually get built because they cost billions of dollars to build. And even if you approve 30 permits, the likelihood is nowhere near 30 facilities are going to get built. Well, if the sweet spot ends up at $9 or $10, it then becomes a world price. Now we've lost our competitive edge, our manufacturers have, in this world market because they no longer have the benefit of cheaper energy than their competitors overseas, whose companies still illegally subsidize their industries and put the steel industry out of business. We lose 20, 30 companies before we get relief at the International Trade Commission. I would just say to Mr. Gardner and anyone else that's for this bill, let's sit down and think about the countries we want to actually do this to. Let's not open up to every WTO country. Let's talk about who our allies are and who our partners are and what we're trying to accomplish over in Europe and Eastern Europe, and maybe limit it to those countries. And let's make certain that if somebody can put an application in to send natural gas over to Russia right now, that the review process that would be waived under your bill isn't waived. If you're not going to do that, I would suggest that you single out Russia and a few other countries not be eligible for this kind of favorable treatment. I'm not against exporting natural gas. I'm for it. I'm for doing it. What I hate to see happen is just like with the Keystone Pipeline. You know, not an ounce of American steel in that pipeline. The Indians and the Russians provided the steel that's going to build that Keystone Pipeline. We need Buy America provisions in this bill. If we're going to build these export facilities, they better damn well use American steel, U.S. steel, not Russian steel, not Indian steel, and making sure that our companies have a level playing field when we do this. I'm all for exporting the natural gas. I'm not for giving away our competitive edge, and I'm certainly not for giving cheap gas to our enemies. And this allows that to happen without any review from the Department of Energy. I don't have any questions. I yield back.